Hi Aries, I hope you're doing amazing. Welcome to your yearly tarot reading for the year of 2023. I do want to remind you this is general, so just take what resonates and leave the rest behind. But I also do want to thank you in advance for hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already, and of course leaving me one if not several comments down below. Now we're going to pull from the Sacred Forest Oracle deck. We're going to get one card for your overall energy focus, if you will, for the year, and then we'll break down each month with two different tarot decks. Okay, one for each half of the year. But let's do some shuffling and see what we get. Now, I do feel the need to mention right off the bat, I several days ago completed your entire yearly reading, 35 minutes of recording. Okay, they're saying down the drain. It was not a bad reading, it just was not up to my standards. And I feel like that's a vibe about your year where you're not settling for less, but you're also not accepting less than quality. Okay, it's a quality over quantity sort of vibe, but I do feel it's a very busy year for you overall. Okay, and the main vibe of that last reading, and I feel will continue into this reading as well, is it's a magical year of creating, developing, connecting, of abundance in so many different forms. All right. Moving for Aries for 2023. A magical year to say the least is what I just heard. Retreat. So I do feel as if there's a focus on your comfort, a focus on your home life. You could be finding myself going on one, if not multiple vacations, well deserved, but an underlying focus on where you would consider your sanctuary. Okay. Really didn't love that wording, but you get the point. It feels like there's a connection that's quite strong for you individually when it comes to nature, animals. Okay, somebody could be acquiring a new pet, being drawn to this reading. But I do feel as if there's a focus on your desire for the new, but also the desire to make the best or just to improve what already exists moving into this year. Let's move on to the tarot and see what we get. Look at that. They want me to swap these out. That's it. So we spoke upon this card, but this is your overall vibe. Miracles. All right. It's a year of magical miracles, and you need to accept that moving into it and just manifest even more. Let's use the Mystic Mondays and pull for each of the first 6 months. Stay in the game is what I'm hearing. Stay in the game, but treat yourself and don't be afraid to treat others. I feel like balance is the name of the game throughout this year, where you don't need to, they're saying especially stepping into it, where you don't need to force it, right? You need to remember that as an Aries. You're a natural leader, a natural kind of conquering sign, a very passionate individual who will churn whatever you touch or develop or wrap oneself up into gold, right? But then you have this magical sort of miracle-based feeling about your year, you know, to back you up on your side. And it feels like the spiritual realm is helping you all the meanwhile. Okay, so don't be surprised if this is a year where as things improve, as things flow in, as things churn into levels of success for oneself, you transform through it all. And you see certain factors outside of you transform, certain situations. Okay, I'm going to just take this one, the Queen of Pentacles. There may be a situation where you're feeling a bit trapped as you enter the year, even potentially making your way to finish up the month of January, and Spirit's saying that will be released from your life, or you'll be released from it rather, when the time is right for you, okay? But regardless of how long that lasts for you, there's other levels of abundance to be noticed throughout the year, or up until that point. What else do we have for Aries for the second half of the first half of the year? Okay, we're not going to take that. It's this vibe where as well you're not accepting the negatives, right? There's a reminder to, throughout the year, as things trickle on, as things improve for oneself, to not wrap oneself up with negative Nancy's, people who are going to bring down your vibration, energy vampires, to work towards releasing oneself from a situation that's toxic in energy or just in how it's run, if that pertains to you. Flying onto the ground, bear with me. The World card at the bottom of the deck. It is a year where things are changing for you. Okay, once again, your world is developing. It's not going to feel the same after this year, or even as you proceed through it. They want this one for the last one. Okay. So I do feel like when we look at things as a whole, April is going to stand out for one reason or another. There's definite potential, excuse me, for a new employment opportunity to be acquired, for a new promotion, a new business development is what they're saying, business expansion. But you could also be getting a pay raise. But I do feel like money will be improving in success for your business or for your job will be improving, your career overall as we trickle forward. But the Queen of Pentacles, as you can see, we're going to pull from the small everyday tarot, one for each one. What do we have for January? So yeah, you start the year, the month of January, and as you can see, your money's on your mind, right? How do I make more? How do I make this the most successful financial and career success kind of year for myself, right? But even breaking it down to just that individual month. But I also was getting a vibe, bear with me. They're saying clear your voice, Aries. It's very important that you get it out there. You have a lot to say, but be strategic all the meanwhile. Although that is supposed to be a pentacle, right? Talking about your money, talking about your career. I did get a vibe of sort of the world, right? And now we have the world here. So Spirit's saying your world is in your control, right? Spirit has an effect on things and their own plan for it all moving forward. But your world is changing and you're thinking about just that. How do you wish to see it develop and improve as you move forward with this individual year? Okay? It's just 1 year overall is what they're saying to have a healthy perspective on things, but it's a very powerful one for you to say the least. Okay? Soaring forward like an eagle is what I'm hearing. To conquer everything your heart desires, as there is a sense of protection reminded to oneself in the month of January. When it comes to one, if not multiple angels watching over you. Okay. I just heard a Taurus will come into play. A Taurus. Interesting. It could even be more so your Taurus placement or placements. But we have the Queen of Pentacles again. So that's to clarify the Eight of Pentacles for the month of February as we shift on forward. There's just this motivated vibe about you where you're feeling more balanced in the midst of which in comparison to especially the end of 2022. Okay. And I do sense that Spirit's saying you're going to be an inspiration as you move forward, especially in the month of February, in regards to standing up and doing what's right for you, getting your voice out there, seeing one's work start to pay off, your hard work. There's a sense that the fruits of your labor are starting to show for the world to see, at the very least for oneself. And I just feel like it's like your business is blossoming, right? Your career in general. You're starting to see your savings increase because you're doing what's right for you. It just feels like numbers are going up. It's a very, I'm not going to say the entire year, but it feels like work and money is very much at the center of your focus for the majority of this year, okay? And there's a lot of celebration to look forward to, especially as you make your way through, I want to say, the second and the third of this year. Does that make sense? But anyways, let's continue to the month of March. Let your creativity shine in February is now what I'm getting. Let your creativity shine. I just feel like there's a sense of color coming back into your situation. And Spirit's saying, we get that you're focused on your money. We get that you're focused on your career. Absolutely beautiful. And you're going to even see more results due to that. As the year trickles on. But are we happy in the midst of all of which? Some key questions being pushed towards oneself, from oneself. The Temperance card for March. I'll pull right from the middle. They're saying when you want something done, just do it yourself, but there is this vibe where you do need to remember you have that innate ability to tap into the leader within. On a core level to just delegate, right? Initiate. But the Queen of Swords, a lot of queens, so don't be surprised even if you're a very masculine individual, even if you're a male or female, you're going to be, at least up until this point in the month, very in touch with your feminine side. You may even shock certain people when you have a bit of a delicate touch to what you're approaching, creating, developing. Wow, this is bothering me. There's a focus on what bothers you, what affects you, what doesn't rub you the right way when it comes to March. Spirit's saying this is a month to reevaluate. Okay, I'm not saying the miracles aren't still present within your situation throughout this month, but when it breaks down to small things like habits, where you're putting your money, where what you're putting into your system, what you're wrapping oneself up in, who you're associating oneself with, is your job still feeling healthy? Is where you're living slash potentially running your business, is that still feeling healthy, right? And if not, then how are we going to move forward and eventually make a change, right? I do sense a bit of a feisty vibe about you, but a gentle way of going about it. Does that make sense? Where there's almost a bit of strategy wrapped up into it, where you're not afraid to defend yourself for what you've been working towards or what you desire. But at the same time, it's like you see the truth in people, places, and situations. They're saying at the very least one particular situation, but it just feels like you have that ability to see the truth in whatever you're wrapped up with at this time. So it's kind of hard for you not to want to speak up, or at least have that sort of, they're saying that sword prepared. Interesting. They're showing me somebody with a sword behind their back, and then take that in the right manner. It's just you kind of being prepared for a sense of battle or defending. But they're saying the focus this month is you needing to have patience with the Temperance card, rebalance oneself out when things annoy you, frustrate you, or just feel unhealthy in certain ways. And it just reminds you why change is a continuous must, right? Even on a small level or on a core level. Because as you change and develop as a strong, passionate individual, naturally other factors in your life outside of you, people, places, situations, are not still going to align. Or you just simply start to see the reality of which, or the future of which, or the lack thereof of future. Does that make sense? So it's a month of change, or at the very least brainstorming what needs to be adjusted and changed. And that's going to help you better manifest, is what they're saying, and just more so live a more magical, happier, healthier life for oneself. The King of Wands. So a bit of stepping into your masculine energy when it comes to the month of April. And I do feel like with that clarifying the Two of Wands, following March, it makes sense. You are in this month thinking about what you lack, what you desire, your individual path coming to mind, to say the very least, looking at this imagery. And you're thinking, well, it's been a bit of a bumpy road, right? A bumpy ride. They're showing me a roller coaster, or kind of like a dirt hill with a race car going over it. But anyways, it just feels like you're holding levels of passion close to one's heart in regards to what you wish to acquire and accomplish. And it's in moments like that where, whether it's the next day or just the following week or just even immediately after that, a miracle comes to be. A wish fulfillment takes place to say, this is why we don't give up. This is why we continuously reevaluate, or from time to time, and do what's best for you, and potentially for your family or for your loved ones, depending on your situation. But it's this confidence about you where, even if behind closed doors there's a little bit of lack of confidence in what's meant to unravel, and when it comes to what isn't perfect at this time, Spirit's saying you do what you got to do to go out there and conquer, right? You go to work and you put on a brave face and you do what you got to do, and then you reevaluate and just figure things out behind closed doors. Does that make sense? You lead the way either way, regardless of how you go about it. But I do sense that this is a continuation of the reevaluating and just knowing what needs to improve, right? Even if it can't happen right away. But I do feel like it's especially the second half of April where a lot of miracles and small wish fulfillments come to be, reminding you of what's possible in a bigger sense. And that leads you into the month of May, with more than one reason to celebrate, with the Three of Cups. I know you can't see the names per se. Actually, we'll move it up. Yeah, it just leaves you with more than one reason to celebrate, and Spirit saying this is well deserved. You've been working your ass off. Okay. The Hierophant. They want me to take it for this. I just feel like Spirit's saying, see, it's not always easy, right? To solidify in one's mind, to make a change, to catch one's breath and just recognize that you deserve better and to just move towards it. But I just feel as if May highlights the fact that whatever change you made, rewinding back to this point, right? March or April, or it could even be further back for you. Apply it to your situation, but it feels it happened around this point. It's leaving you with more than one reason to celebrate. It's like, okay, great, things are improving. This is so much better. I could be more of who I am at this point along my path. Some of you might have already or will be at this point acquiring one, if not multiple, keys to a new situation, place of residence, a workplace, a new office, you name it. I just heard a new locker. But I do feel as if there's a they're saying prominent reminder throughout this month at a certain point, if not multiple. Your intuition is to never be ignored again, right? This is a month in a year as a whole that reminds you have a very strong intuition as an Aries. So trust it, acknowledge it, and let's honor it in the best way possible, as it does speak the truth as to what you know deep down, okay? When it comes to who to keep in your life, what to keep in your life, what to acquire, and who to attract, okay? Because I feel like moving forward, you're going to recognize even more how easily you can, in a miraculous kind of way, attract and manifest what you desire, as Spirit gifts you certain levels of which, all the meanwhile. So then it's up to you to decipher, well, is this person actually right for me at this point? Even if they once were, you know? Or is the situation going to be the best choice for me? Is it going to be right for me, healthy for me? They're saying, let's be smart. No offense. The World card, once again, it's very interesting. The beginning and the ending of the first half of the year talks about how your world's changing, but it's highlighted in different ways in comparison. It is visually transforming in certain ways from the beginning, from January, all the way to the month of June. But so June talks about how as your world changes, there's a push to have a bit of fun, okay? It's interesting because this card was the playfulness card in the first full attempt I did. And although it felt accurate to an extent, being reminded to have fun, to enjoy oneself along your path with all you accomplish, this is more accurate, okay? But I do feel like there's a leap of faith that you're taking. You know, some of you could have ended something, and then this leap of faith follows in the following month with due time and divine timing. But for some of you, there's just a highlight on the fact that you need to pack lightly when you travel, okay? There could be a trip at this point in the year, in the month. But I do feel like as well, this is a month of synchronicities. I don't know why it's coming through with the animal there, the dog. Angel numbers, nature itself, animals, stuff like that is coming into play from Spirit as certain levels of communication, so look them up. When you struggle to speak throughout this month, just take a deep breath, okay? Take a deep breath. You've been through a lot. And I do feel like there's a very fun, sort of motivated vibe about this month where it reminds you again, things are changing and developing. But you may find that at least at certain points or at the end of this month, take a deep breath and heal, okay? You've been through a lot. You're a very hard worker naturally. So let's just breathe and heal, because we want to make the best out of the second half of the year. But I do feel like the weather is well in a situation, whether it's where you're going for traveling or where you work, where you live, or where you want to move to. That takes a highlight for a true significant reason, okay? But it's, again, highlighting the fact that things are changing for in a lot of ways, in a very layered kind of way if you look at that imagery. Let's slowly but surely clear the board, and we will pull for the second half of the year. Okay, let's see here. I just heard you're going to love what you do in the second half of the year. Interesting. We're going to use the light seers for this part, and let's do some shuffling. I sense that whether it's because you do feel a bit burnt out or need to heal to an extent, even though things are kind of bright and happy and fun, as you make your way into the second half, you're feeling the need to move at a comfortable pace, as if you can't or just choose not to rush. That definitely could play into the quality over quantity vibe about what you produce, develop, approach, or wrapped up with for Aries for the second half of the year. Okay. Ooh. You want me to put this one back because we have all of them here. Oh, no, we don't. Okay. Bear with me. And we're going to pull the last one right from the middle. Judgment. Okay, that feels right. So we're beginning the second half of the year, the month of July, with the Knight of Cups. All right. I do feel as if you're pushed to recognize throughout this month that your creativity, your approach, your changes on a soul level, and how to remember them and how that's affecting the magic of what you produce and develop. Okay, it's that unicorn or horse just very much matches up with the miracles card side by side. Your physical appearance is taking a highlight in the month of July. I feel like some of you getting into better shape, implementing self-care at certain points or have been up until this point, and it's assisting with your glow. Even if you're a bit overly serious, I feel like for at least half of the second half of the year. But I do sense that love takes a highlight to a certain extent with the Knight of Cups. All right. Who is it that you want? Who is it that you're up with at this time? There's a potential to adjust your perspective in regards to, okay, how magical things are, in regards to what kind of love you desire or whether or not you deserve it in general. Okay. Some of you, it may be in regards to a relationship that you're wrapped up with at this time. And there may be certain levels of reevaluating, a push, an adjustment of perspective from spirit. Okay. They're saying hang from your tree of wisdom and see what's truly taking place. But for some of you, this is more in regards to new love and being pushed to recognize the truth in which options are actually right for you at this time. But I do sense that for a lot, there's somebody new flowing in, okay, with their cup of love, with a bit of romance, potentially some flowers. Not to get too corny, but you get the point. I do feel like they're saying as certain leaves fall from your life, allow for the right ones to stay. Interesting. I feel like that could go for friends as well. But yeah, the Page of Pentacles to move on to the Knight of Pentacles for August. So August is a month where you could be acquiring a new job, okay, a new business expansion, being pushed to have a fresh perspective and view on what you've been working towards or choosing to begin. But I do sense that this is one strong independent month where you feel nothing and nobody can get in your way, period. They said, I mean, well, you're a damn Aries. Come on, right? But I just feel like regardless, I'm going to put these here. You have choices to make, right? This speaking on this side more so upon the love in a situation, your connection to others, and putting yourself out there in a vulnerable light. But I do feel like when it comes to August more so, that's speaking upon the choices you have to make or being prepared for and angelically guided through, okay? When it comes to your career, when it comes to potential financial investments, or whether or not to continue one or multiple, okay? It's a time where you're being reminded again, this year as a whole is developing things as it's meant to proceed or not proceed, right? Where things can't stay exactly the same as you change and develop. So allow for oneself to recognize or to remember once again, as you stand up in a very independent way and change something or prepare to make an important choice or two. Okay, there could be a snake in the grass in a situation. You are allowing for the miracles to flow in even more so. Sometimes you got to make room for what is more so right for you at this point along your path. They're now saying let the sunlight shine on in, okay? Let's pull for September, the Hermit card. We have the Star card. So a lot of alone time when it comes to the month of September. A lot of reflecting, healing is necessary. I do feel as if you're being reminded to keep trucking along, but do it once again in a balanced manner. Being viewed as a star when it comes to what you produce, develop, accomplish in your alone time, what you decide to change once again or continue to change. Now I'm hearing the stars are aligning for you. Let me take a deep breath. Okay, that's the vibe of this month. That's the vibe of this month, and you can hear how much more efficiently in more of a calm manner I'm now getting your messages across. Okay, it's this feeling that the year paired with the feeling of the year and just how things are progressing and changing and just your own motivation pairing with it all, it leaves you just kind of speeding through things, right? To an extent, or just feeling like the year's speeding by at the very least, And so therefore you need to remember, just take a deep breath in, and things will feel more grounded, more balanced, and just will come off better. Anyways, so the star card talking about how in the midst of your hermit mode, your alone time in the month of September, a wish comes to be, right? Putting yourself out there in certain ways, even when you're alone. Does that make sense? It reminds me of me doing these readings, but I do so while I'm by myself. However it works for you, you succeed, okay? Levels of progress, a new situation for some. It just feels like this could connect, bringing in and jumping into this new opportunity, and then succeeding in a very independent, to myself kind of way, even if there's people around you, okay? Your vulnerability, will pay off. It feels like a very Two of Pentacles vibe, a bit of a balancing act all the meanwhile, okay? Balancing out the areas of your life as well. Moving on to October, we have the Emperor card. And so as you could see in that imagery, a bit overly serious, all right? Just not fooling around too much, but being reminded, enjoy yourself as you are creating and developing, okay? You might look back at certain levels of work that you've produced and how you've been bonding with certain people and think, well, damn, everything's changing, right? And it's that continuous push to reevaluate, right? And a push to remember, with the Sun card, completion leads to happiness. But there is a happy vibe about you, at least at certain points throughout the month of October, where it benefits your work, who you're bonding with, in such an amazing way, okay? It reminds you of how something's meant to continue blossoming on more than one level. I feel like for a lot, that's your business. You could be a tarot reader, a bit psychic, but at the very least, I feel like being drawn to this reading and watching it to this point, you're very spiritually connected, okay? But I do sense that there's a kind of coming through as the Chariot card now, kind of a conquering way about you, where you're charging forth and being pushed to remember the balance once again in all. But let's move on to the Queen of Pentacles. Is this not the third time this has come out? The third of the Queen of Pentacles for this reading. Look at the peace in her body language. Look at the peace in her face, in the way she's exuding energy, okay? And her connection to nature, and the way she is definitely succeeding and focused on, he or she, on money, on career success. But it's not getting to her. It's not making her lose her cool, okay? Or lose her calm groundedness. That's your vibe, okay? Let me move these on up. Bear with me so you can see them. But again, it's reminding you of the different levels of independence being aligned with the Nine of Pentacles that you truly have as an Aries. Again, the Hierophant card coming out. And I swear this was clarified in the same spot for the other half of the month. But again, you're being reminded how much you've changed in regards to your approach with your money, your career, your mindset on things, even in how that affects and even is evident when it comes to your approach to connecting with people, okay? And making certain changes once again. But I just feel like even through what you produce and develop, I want to say in October and November, you and other people who tune into your work or observe it, see it, are noticing you're not the same Aries that we once knew, okay? Very much so evident. And I do feel like you're brainstorming throughout the month of November in regards to, they're saying in a simplistic way, in regards to what you want to give birth to. Some of you, pregnancy might be highlighted in one way, shape, or form throughout this month. Your feminine nature will shine. Interesting. I mean, again, a lot of queens in this reading. The Queen of Swords for the second time in this reading, because I do feel as if you make your way to finish up the year in December, and there's a true level of honesty with the Judgment card that is needed. Again, there's a push to recognize you're releasing an old version of yourself, or at least old parts of who you once were, and old strategies, old views and ways of approaching what you wish to see successful. And Spirit's saying that's how we maintain a level of miracles and wish fulfillments and magic as you move into 2024. But I do feel like there's a push to reflect to finish up the year, naturally. to set new goals, or just to keep oneself motivated when it comes to goals that still need to be accomplished in the upcoming year and moving forward. And what they're saying is, as you do so, you're being pushed to recognize the ultimate passion, or to remember that passion within you. Okay. Saying once and for all, I'm going to move forward and let this year teach me that I am meant to continuously change, reevaluate, and improve my life for the better, as spirit does what they are meant to foresee other changes and developments, and even to push me to do what we were just saying. Okay, it's the end of this year. It's the even the specifically the end of December, that reminds you you're a boss. Okay, and that you love your alone time, but you love bonding with people. But it's a year where, naturally, as we've been saying, the main focus is your money and career. And that's not a bad thing, but that's where you're going to see the majority of your success lie for oneself. Okay. So I do feel as if, more so in 2024, we'll see, connections will take more of a focus. But this is a year of change. This is a year of development and progress. And once again, miraculous kind of year for you, Aries, where the abundance simply rolls on in and leaves you so damn successful. All right. So I hope this was truly helpful. Sending you so much love and light. Go enjoy your year, and I'll definitely see you next time. Bye, Aries.